Here's something that'll wake you up real quick. Last year alone, 11 million Americans were forced out of their homes because of disasters. Yeah, you heard that right. 11 million. And honestly, the Red Cross is now responding to disasters twice as often as they were just 10 years ago. So if you think it won't happen to me, well, the numbers say otherwise. Today, I'm breaking down the exact 12 items the Red Cross is literally begging you to stock up on right now. And trust me, number 12 is something most people completely forget about. Look, I'm not here to scare you, all right? But here's the deal. Disasters don't exactly send you a calendar invite. They hit at 2 a.m. when you're asleep, during your morning commute, or while your kids are at school. And the crazy part? Being prepared doesn't have to be overwhelming or expensive. We're going to cover two types of kits today. Your go bag with 3 days of supplies you can grab in under 60 seconds, and your stay-at-home kit for when you need to shelter in place. So let's dive in, because honestly, this could save your life. Item 1. Water, the most critical supply. All right, let's start with the big one. And I mean the big one. Water. Now, I know what you're thinking. Come on, water? That's obvious. But here's where it gets wild. This is actually the most overlooked item on emergency lists. Like, people will stock up on flashlights, batteries, all that stuff, and then realize they have zero drinking water when disaster hits. So, let me hit you with this. The human body can only survive about 3 days without water. 3 days. That's it. And guess what's the first thing that runs out during hurricanes, earthquakes, or power outages? Yep, clean water. We saw this play out in 2025 with those massive storms that hit the East Coast. Stores were wiped clean of bottled water within hours, not days. Hours. Here's what the Red Cross actually recommends, and honestly, it's more than most people think. For your go bag, that's the one you grab if you need to evacuate fast. You need 1 gallon per person per day for 3 days. So if you've got a family of 4, that's 12 gallons total. Sounds like a lot, right? But think about it. You're not just drinking it. You need water for sanitation, brushing teeth, washing hands, cleaning wounds. It adds up real quick. Now, for your stay-at-home kit, you're looking at a 2-week supply. Same rule, 1 gallon per person per day. For that same family of 4, we're talking 56 gallons of water. And before you panic about where you're going to store all that, you know what? Start small. Grab a case of bottled water this week, then another next week. Build it up gradually. Here's the kicker, though, and this is something a lot of people miss. Tap water doesn't last forever in storage. If you're filling up your own containers, the CDC says you need to replace it every 6 months. Set a reminder on your phone right now. Seriously. Do it. And one more thing. Recent data from emergency preparedness experts shows that during the 2024 hurricane season, families with pre-stocked water supplies had significantly less stress and didn't have to risk their safety running to crowded stores during evacuation orders. It's literally peace of mind sitting in your garage. So, yeah, water. It's not sexy, it's not high-tech, but it's the absolute #1 priority. Because when the power's out and the taps run dry, you're going to wish you had those boring bottles of H2O ready to go. Item 2. Non-perishable food. All right, so here's where most people completely screw this up. And honestly, it's not even their fault. Let me tell you a quick story. A couple years back, this family in California thought they were totally prepared. They had an entire closet filled with emergency food. Big buckets everywhere. Felt safe, right? Then the wildfires hit. Power went out for 9 days straight. And you know what they discovered? Almost everything they stockpiled needed cooking, or water they didn't have enough of. Or, and this is the kicker, their kids straight up refused to eat it because they'd never tasted it before in their lives. So let's talk about item number 2, non-perishable food, but the right way to do it. Here's the rule. The Red Cross is crystal clear about 3 days worth for your go bag, 2 full weeks for your stay-at-home kit. Now, I know what you're thinking. 2 weeks? That sounds like a lot. But here's the thing, disasters don't come with expiration dates. The Red Cross is now responding to disasters twice as often as they were just a decade ago. And power outages? Your fridge food becomes unsafe after just 4 hours without power. 4 hours. But let me hit you with something that might actually shock you. Most people are storing the wrong kind of food. Nutrition experts are now saying that traditional emergency food storage is dangerously unbalanced, with most kits being nothing but carbohydrates in big buckets. And guess what? There are no essential carbohydrates for your body, but you absolutely need protein and healthy fats to survive. Mind-blowing, right? So here's your game plan, the Go Bag. 3 days. Think lightweight, compact, zero cooking required. We're talking protein bars and energy bars. But check that protein content. Peanut butter packets or almond butter, canned tuna, chicken, or salmon with pop-top lids, no can opener needed, dried fruits and nuts. Trail mix is your best friend here. Crackers and jerky pro tip? Store food that you actually eat regularly. I cannot stress this enough. Don't buy 50 cans of beans if nobody in your house likes beans. In a crisis, the last thing you want is your kids refusing to eat because it tastes weird. The stay-at-home kit. 2 weeks. This is where you level up. Stock canned foods, dry mixes, and staples that don't require refrigeration, cooking, water, or special preparation. Your pantry should look like this: rice, pasta, and instant oatmeal, canned vegetables, fruits and soups. Grab that manual can opener, boxed mac and cheese or rice mixes, powdered milk, canned meats, beef stew, chili, chicken, comfort foods like cookies, granola bars, instant coffee. And here's something most people forget: you need variety to maintain your strength and morale during emergencies. One expert literally said eating the same thing for days will mess with your mental health and your physical energy. So mix it up. Number 1, stockpiling too much of one thing. Don't be the person with 200 cans of corn and nothing else. Number 2, storing food that expires or that you never rotate through. Check those dates every 6 months and actually use this stuff in your regular life. First in, first out. And number 3, this one gets people every time: storing food improperly so rodents, heat, or moisture destroys it. Keep everything in airtight containers in a cool, dark place. If you're using bags instead of sealed containers, you're basically inviting mice to a buffet. Oh, and one more thing that's actually pretty genius. Include comfort foods like cookies, hard candy, and instant coffee. The CDC even backs this up. When you're stressed out of your mind during a disaster, something familiar and sweet can genuinely help your mental state. It's not just about calories. It's about keeping it together emotionally. Bottom line, your emergency food should be stuff you'd want to eat, that needs minimal prep, and that keeps you actually nourished, not just full. Don't overthink it, but definitely don't make the mistake of grabbing whatever's on sale without a plan. All right, moving on. Item 3, medications. All right, here's where things get real serious, and honestly, this one scares me a little. Item number 3, medications. And I'm not just talking about grabbing an extra bottle of Tylenol. Listen to this. Right now, in 2025, there are 270 active drug shortages happening across America. Yeah, 270. And get this, half of those shortages have been going on for over 2 years. We're talking about critical stuff like ADHD medications, insulin, chemotherapy drugs. Even basic IV fluids ran out after Hurricane Helene hit earlier this year. So here's what the Red Cross is saying you need to do. And trust me, you want to listen up. Stock a 1-month supply of all your prescription medications if possible. I know that sounds like a lot, but when disasters strike, pharmacies close, supply chains break down, and you can't just run out to CVS at 2 a.m. Now, here's what most people forget, and this is huge. If you or someone in your family uses medical equipment like a CPAP machine, a nebulizer, or even an electric wheelchair, you need backup power. We're talking battery packs, car chargers, backup batteries, the whole deal. Because here's the thing, about 4.5 million Americans rely on electricity-dependent medical devices, and when the power goes out, the clock starts ticking. Most CPAP users can go maybe a night or two without it, but people on ventilators or oxygen concentrators, that's life or death, you know? And don't sleep on over-the-counter meds either. Pain relievers, allergy medicine, stomach stuff. Throw it all in your kit. During emergencies, even getting basic medicine becomes nearly impossible. Bottom line, talk to your doctor today about getting an extended prescription. It could literally save your life. Item 4. Battery-powered radio. All right, here's a story that'll blow your mind. September 2024, Hurricane Helene absolutely demolished the Southeast. And you know what happened? Over 4,500 cell towers went down. Yeah, you heard that right. 4,500. That's the worst cell tower failure from any hurricane in recorded history. People in North Carolina? 74% of their cell sites just gone. No texts, no calls, no internet, nothing. But here's the crazy part. While everyone's phones became useless bricks, there was one thing that kept working: NOAA weather radio. While cell towers were underwater and power lines were snapped like toothpicks, those radios kept broadcasting life-saving alerts. The National Weather Service said it straight up. Folks that had NOAA weather radio were still able to receive those alerts. Everyone else? In the dark. Literally. Look, I get it. You're thinking, but I've got my phone, right? Wrong. When disaster hits, your phone is only as good as the nearest cell tower. And guess what? Those towers need power. They need fiber connections. And when Mother Nature decides to wreak havoc, all that infrastructure goes down fast. Hurricane Helene knocked out service for over 1 million people in some areas for weeks. So here's what the Red Cross is telling you to get: a battery-powered or hand-crank NOAA weather radio. These things broadcast 24/7 from over 1,000 stations across the country. They work when the power's out. They work when your internet's dead. They work when cell towers are flooded. They're basically indestructible. And honestly, you can get a decent one for like $30. The Midland models are solid. They've got hand cranks, solar panels, and they'll automatically wake up and scream at you when there's an emergency alert. Because here's the truth. In a real disaster, your phone won't save you, but a $20 radio just might. Item 5. Flashlights and extra batteries. All right, let me paint you a picture real quick. It's 2 a.m., you're dead asleep, and suddenly, boom, the power goes out. You're fumbling around in total darkness, trying to remember where you put that one flashlight you think you have somewhere. Sound familiar? Yeah, that's the nightmare scenario we're trying to avoid here. Here's a stat that'll blow your mind. 83% of all power outages are triggered by weather-related events. And honestly, with the way our climate's been acting lately, those numbers aren't going down anytime soon. We're talking storms, ice, heat waves. You name it, it's knocking out power grids left and right. So here's what the Red Cross says you absolutely need. Multiple flashlights spread throughout your house. Not just one, multiple. And I'm talking one in every bedroom, one in the kitchen, one in your utility room, and definitely one in the garage. Why? Because when disaster strikes, you don't want to be stumbling through the dark trying to find that one flashlight that could be literally anywhere. Now, let's talk about the bed kit concept. Especially if you live in earthquake zones like California, the Red Cross recommends keeping sturdy shoes, a flashlight, a dust mask, and a whistle right next to your bed. Think about it. If an earthquake hits at 3 a.m. and there's broken glass everywhere, you need those shoes to protect your feet immediately. That flashlight, it could literally be the difference between safely navigating to your family or getting injured in your own home. Here's the thing about modern flashlights, though. They've gotten insanely good. The best emergency flashlights in 2025 now offer up to 11 days of runtime, and some even have built-in magnets so you can stick them to your fridge or fuse box for hands-free lighting. We're not talking about those weak, old-school flashlights your dad had in the garage. These are LED powerhouses that can light up entire rooms. And batteries? Stock up like your life depends on it, because honestly, it might. Experts recommend rotating your batteries every 6 months to prevent corrosion. Pro tip: keep batteries in their original packaging, Not already loaded in your devices? They last way longer that way. But here's where it gets really smart. Consider getting rechargeable flashlights that automatically turn on when the power goes out. These rechargeable lights stay plugged into your wall outlet and automatically illuminate when there's an outage. They're like your home's emergency lighting system, and they can light up your escape routes instantly. The only downside? Most only last a few hours, so you'll still need those battery-powered backups. One more thing, and this is crucial. Flashlights are much safer than candles or oil lamps for obvious fire safety reasons. I know candles seem romantic or whatever, but during an actual emergency, they're a disaster waiting to happen. Stick with flashlights, trust me on this one. Item 6. Phone chargers and power banks. Okay, here's the reality check nobody wants to hear. When disaster strikes, your phone is probably going to die at the worst possible time. And in 2025, a dead phone during an emergency isn't just inconvenient. It could be dangerous. You know what I'm talking about. Let's get real for a second. The Red Cross specifically says to include backup batteries and chargers for all your critical devices. Cell phones, CPAPs, wheelchairs, everything. And they're not messing around with this recommendation. During major disasters, people get separated from their families, and your phone is literally your lifeline to reconnect with them. Now here's what most people don't think about. During power outages, phone service might still work even when your neighborhood's grid is down. So if your phone's charged, you can still call for help, check on family, or get emergency alerts. But if it's dead, you're basically cut off from the world. So what do you actually need? A solid power bank with at least 10,000 mAh capacity. Modern power banks can charge your phone multiple times, like the latest 2025 models that can fully recharge even the biggest smartphone batteries more than once. We're talking devices small enough to fit in your pocket but powerful enough to keep you connected for days. And guess what? The technology has gotten absolutely wild lately. The best slim power banks in 2025 are thinner than your thumb but can still hold 10,000 mAh. They've got up to 12 different safety systems watching for overcharging and overheating. Plus, many now use recycled materials, so you're being prepared and environmentally conscious. Win-win, right? But here's the pro move that separates beginners from experts. Solar chargers as your backup plan. Yeah, I know what you're thinking. Aren't those kind of gimmicky? Not anymore. When the power's out for days and you've drained your power banks, solar panels can literally save you. They're slower than wall charging, obviously, but when you don't have power, slow charging beats no charging every single time. Now, the Red Cross drops this absolute truth bomb that everyone forgets. Write down your emergency contacts on paper. Yeah, actual paper. Keep important phone numbers on a contact card you carry with you, because phones die and digital contacts become useless. Think about it. How many phone numbers do you actually have memorized? Your mom's? Maybe. But what about your kid's school, your emergency contacts, your doctor? Probably not. Write them down. Put them in your wallet. Do it today. And one last thing, USB-C charging is now the standard for most devices in 2025, so make sure your power banks and cables are compatible with whatever devices your family uses. The last thing you want is to have a fully charged power bank, but the wrong cable. Trust me, that's a nightmare scenario you don't want to experience during an actual emergency. Bottom line? Your phone isn't just a convenience anymore. It's survival equipment. Treat it that way. Item 7. Important documents. All right, so let me tell you something that happened during the California wildfires in 2024. Families had literally minutes to evacuate. And you know what some of them lost forever? Birth certificates, insurance policies, medical records, stuff you can't just replace with a phone call. It's heartbreaking, honestly. So here's what the Red Cross is crystal clear about. You need copies of your personal documents in a waterproof container. Not water-resistant, waterproof. Because guess what? Floods, hurricanes, and burst pipes don't care about your filing cabinet. Now, what goes in this magical container? Let's break it down. First, identification. Driver's licenses, passports, social security cards. Then your insurance policies, because trying to file a claim without proof? Yeah, good luck with that. medical records, and a list of your medications with dosages. Super important if you're separated from your doctor. Birth certificates, marriage certificates, deeds to your home or car titles. And here's one people forget: bank account numbers and credit card info written down. When your phone dies and you can't access your banking app, you'll thank me. But here's the thing, and this is straight from the 2025 Red Cross guidelines: digital backups and hard copies. Both. Upload everything to a secure cloud service, sure, but also keep physical copies in that waterproof container, because disasters knock out power. They kill Wi-Fi. They drain batteries. One more pro tip: take photos of important items in your home for insurance claims. That antique dresser, your electronics, jewelry, everything. Store those photos in the cloud too. Trust me, when you're trying to remember what you owned 3 months after a tornado, your memory gets real fuzzy real fast. Item 8. Cash. Okay, quick question. When was the last time you actually carried cash? Yeah, me neither. We're living in this tap-to-pay, Venmo, Apple Pay world, right? But here's the uncomfortable truth nobody wants to think about. When disaster hits, ATMs don't work. Let me paint you a picture. Hurricane season 2024. Millions of people along the Gulf Coast lost power for weeks. No electricity means no card readers. No internet means no digital payments. And those ATMs everyone depends on, they're just expensive paperweights. People were literally stranded with full bank accounts they couldn't access. It's wild. So the Red Cross has been hammering this point home in their latest 2025 preparedness campaigns. Keep cash on hand. Physical money, the old school stuff your grandparents swore by. Now here's the breakdown. You want small bills, 20s, 10s, 5s, and especially 1s. Because if the only store open is selling water for $5 and you're waving around a $100 bill, nobody's got change. You're out of luck. The Red Cross specifically recommends having enough cash to cover at least a week of essential expenses: food, water, gas. For most families, that's somewhere between $500 to $1,000. I know that sounds like a lot, but break it down. That's maybe $50 here and there until you've built it up. Keep it in your waterproof document container with everything else. And honestly, split it up. Some in your go bag, some hidden securely at home, because if you grab the wrong bag during an evacuation, you don't want to be completely broke. One last thing, and this is something emergency management experts have been stressing lately: coins matter too. Vending machines, parking meters, payphones if they still exist, small change can be a lifesaver. Throw a roll of quarters in there. You'll feel silly until the moment you actually need it. Item 9. First aid kit. All right, so here's something that'll blow your mind. Most people think a first aid kit is just, a box with some Band-Aids and maybe some antibiotic cream. Wrong. Dead wrong. And honestly, that kind of thinking could cost you big time when disaster hits. The Red Cross says a real first aid kit needs way more than just bandages. We're talking hand sanitizer, pain relievers like ibuprofen and acetaminophen, antihistamines for allergic reactions, and exam gloves. But here's where it gets real. According to Red Cross experts, your kit should also include a CPR face shield, which most people completely forget about. Think about it. If someone stops breathing, you're going to want that barrier between you and them, right? Now, here's the part that most folks overlook, and this is crucial. You need to include a written list of everyone's prescriptions with exact dosages. I'm not kidding. In a chaotic situation, you're not going to remember that your kid takes 10 milligrams of their allergy medication twice a day. Write it down. Laminate it if you can. The American Red Cross also recommends adding N95 or surgical masks to your emergency kit, especially depending on what types of disasters are common in your area. Wildfires? You absolutely need those masks. Dust storms? Same deal. And guess what else belongs in there? Sanitation supplies. Moist towelettes and hand wipes can clean and sanitize when you don't have access to running water or soap. Look, in a disaster, infections spread fast. A tiny cut becomes infected, and suddenly you've got a major problem on your hands. Here's my honest advice. Don't buy the cheapest first aid kit you can find. Quality matters. bandages that actually stay put, scissors that cut properly, and supplies that don't fall apart when you need them most. Your family's safety is worth the extra 20 bucks. Item 10. Warm clothing and blankets. Okay, so let me tell you a story that'll change how you think about this. During the 2021 Texas freeze, people literally froze to death in their own homes because they didn't have proper warm clothing and blankets stocked up. Yeah, in Texas, a place that's usually hot. That's how fast things can go sideways. The Red Cross specifically recommends organizing a bed kit with everything you might need if an earthquake happens while you're sleeping, including sturdy shoes to protect your feet from broken glass, a flashlight, a dust mask, and a whistle in case you get trapped in debris. Think about that for a second. You wake up at 3 a.m. to an earthquake, and there's shattered glass everywhere. You gonna walk barefoot? Absolutely not. Here's what you actually need. Weather-appropriate clothing for all seasons. I don't care if you live in Florida. Pack a warm jacket anyway. Disasters don't follow the weather forecast. Your emergency kit should include sleeping bags and warm blankets to keep you comfortable if you lose power or need to evacuate. And honestly, people forget about the basics. Extra socks and underwear, multiple changes of clothes, rain gear, gloves, and hats. You should pack clothing for different weather conditions because you never know what situation you'll be facing. Here's the thing that keeps me up at night. Most families have maybe 1 or 2 blankets in their emergency kit. The Red Cross says you need enough for everyone in your household, plus extras. Why? Because body heat loss kills faster than most people realize. Hypothermia can set in within hours, even in temperatures that don't seem that cold. Pro tip from someone who's been through this. Wool blankets are better than cotton. They keep you warm even when wet. And those emergency Mylar blankets? Yeah, grab a few of those too. They're cheap, they fold up tiny, and they can literally save your life. Item 11. Personal hygiene items. All right, real talk here. This is the category that everybody skips and then regrets immediately. Like, I'm talking day 2 of a disaster and people are freaking out because they didn't pack the basics. And I get it, when you're thinking about survival, deodorant doesn't seem critical. But guess what? It is. Basic hygiene items should include soap, wipes, toothpaste, and roll-on deodorant. And these aren't luxuries, they're essentials for preventing disease and maintaining morale during difficult situations. Because here's the thing nobody tells you. Keeping yourself and your environment clean prevents disease and illness. Infections spread like wildfire when hygiene breaks down. Let's get specific about what you actually need. Toothbrush and toothpaste, obviously. But also toilet paper, feminine hygiene products, hand sanitizer, and trash bags. When assembling hygiene kits, you should include personal cleaning items and basic first aid supplies like antibacterial ointment. Now here's something that'll surprise you. Dental floss isn't just for your teeth in an emergency situation. You can use it as strong thread for mending clothing and gear, or even for lashing and tying things together. Pretty clever, right? And if you've got babies, pack at least 5 days worth of disposable diapers, even if you normally use cloth at home, because in stressful situations, your child may develop diarrhea and need more changes than usual. Don't forget baby wipes, formula, and bottles. Proper hygiene practices, like washing hands frequently with soap and water, play a crucial role in preventing the spread of diseases, including foodborne illnesses. Here's my bottom line. This stuff matters way more than you think. Yeah, you can survive without deodorant. But your mental health, your family's morale, those take a hit fast when everyone feels gross and uncomfortable. Pack the hygiene items. Future, you will be incredibly grateful. Okay, before we wrap up, here's a bonus tip that's literally going to make your life so much easier. The Red Cross has a free emergency app, and I'm talking completely free. No hidden costs, nothing. You can download it right now by searching American Red Cross in your app store. Here's what makes it awesome. You get real-time weather alerts for your area, safety steps for different emergencies like fires or floods, and here's the kicker. It has a built-in checklist feature where you can track exactly what you've got and what you still need. No more guessing, no more forgetting stuff. Also, and this is super important, sign up for your local government emergency alerts. These are the alerts that tell you when to evacuate, when there's a tornado warning, all that critical stuff. Trust me, when seconds count, you'll be glad you did this. Look, we talked about disasters happening twice as often as they did just a decade ago. This isn't fear-mongering, it's reality. So don't wait until you're watching the news thinking, I should have prepared. Start today. Pick 3 items from this list, just 3, and grab them this weekend. Now I'm curious, which item are you stocking up on first? Water? Flashlights? Pet supplies? Drop it in the comments below. I want to know what you're prioritizing. And if this video helped you out, smash that like button and subscribe, because we're posting more life-saving content like this every single week. Your future self will thank you. Stay safe out there.